15 seconds. 15 seconds, you bid 29 quid. Jobs are good. 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Now. Get in! You tinker. Barry wins. Congratulations, you win. That's me. So big thank you to David Monkhouse, who watched me last video, on which I said I didn't have the draft control cable, so therefore wouldn't be able to complete the group 3 adjustments, even though if we had getting the selector and the valve chest and everything back on and the rock shaft, I was still missing this. David sent me the link to this, which was on eBay. And if you've watched the little clip previous to this, you'll have seen that we went through and won it with a big thank you to David. So let's have a look at it. So we've got our grease nipples there. This end, this is the draft control end, the top link end. I'm not sure if there's a nut missing or not, because I'm nearly positive that the piece this goes into is threaded. I'm sure that threads in, and that is simply a locking nut. But if it isn't, no big deal. We shall get a nut for to fit this and clamp this end up tight. This end, we will need to make a little toggle to fit on the end of there. It probably just sits over the top of there with a nut on there. We'll have a look at some parts diagrams. If not, we'll just make a rod with a tapped hole in. We'll Loctite this together once it's inside. But there we go. Nice and free. No, doesn't feel like there's any burrs or threads loose on the cable, on the Bowden cable, in order to snag internally. But brilliant. We'll have a look. We'll find out what we need to do, and we'll get it made up. Then we will be able to do our group 3 adjustments, won't we? Right. Let's crack on. Let's get the tractor back together. Today, we're going to make the little missing piece. Remember, for the draft control, we're going to make it out of this bolt. We're going to cut the top off, cut the bottom off, drill a clearance hole through it. In the last video, remember, I did ask people's opinion on this end of the draft control cable. Was this threaded into the little plug, pull, whatever, at that end, or was it clearance with a couple of nuts on the back? So my parts diagram shows a threaded hole in here that you screw this onto. However, Andy put a message in the comments. Thank you very much, Andy, brilliant. And I remember seeing this on a video, but I just didn't have time to go and look for it at the time. But Andy told us it was one of Shane's, and I went back and had a look, and it sure is one of Shane's. His, when he's reassembling his rear end of the tractor, his is clearanced with 2 nuts on the end of here, right? So that's what we're going to do. We're going to drill this clearance, we're going to get 2 nuts for here, and we're going to pop that on. Because my plan was, if I threaded that, I could Loctite that into there. But then you think, well, you're going to get yourself a bit of a ball ache, if it has to come off ever again, you're going to get yourself a bit of a ball ache to get it off. It could potentially unscrew. There's Betty. Morning, Betty. She's coming back because it's March, isn't it? March, all the sap's rising, if you like. She's back in that place on the fence there. She's looking for somewhere to nest. I wouldn't be surprised if she comes in here today and gets her backside up there. Anyway, back to reality. Yes, so There is a potential for this to unscrew itself from your little pole and for that to drop down into the bottom of the axle, or worse still, work its way along and get caught up in the gearbox somehow. So plan is clearance hole in here, 2 nuts for here, jobs are good. So let us start by sorting out what size the thread is on the end of here. So to do this, we'll put my glasses on so I can see what I'm doing. To do this, I've got my trusty imperial micrometer. I'm going to measure the OD of them threads. And they are 187, 3/16. Right, 187. So 187 is so a little bit bigger than 3/16. Right. Now, next thing we need to do, measure the TPI. My little trusty thread gauge here. Nice little thing. This has got both imperial and metric on it. You're upsetting me there, Mr. Pigeon. So, let's have a look. I don't know if you can see that or not, but that is 32 TPI. Okay. 187, 32 TPI. Let's get the trusty book out. I love these things. I've still got, although it's missing the front cover and missing the back cover, but I still got my original Zeus book from 1975 when I started my apprenticeship. And I think I paid something like £1 or 6p for it. This one was a couple of quid, and they're getting dearer. They're getting dearer. So we've gone to, first of all, what BSF threads. BSF thread 3/16, which is 1875. TPI 32. So this is looking as though it is a 3/16 BSF thread. So we'll need a couple of nuts for that. But now we know what size they are. Not a problem, is it? Okay, so first job, whip the top and bottom off here so we end up with a bit of steel so we can get this prepped. I'm going to do it the easy way. I'm just going to whip this off with a grinder. Have we got any googles? There we go. Put some googles on this morning, over. Right, I'm just going to file this flat at the end. This bench is low. Sure, it wants to be up here somewhere, doesn't it? But, oh, what a wonderful vise this is today. Why do I file at 90 degrees? So you can see your marks moving. You can see where your high spots are. See where your low spots are. Just whiz the edges off there. So Let's persevere. See if we can get it square. Of course, the problem with having a vise that's too low is that you're always tempted to file downhill, aren't you? Close enough, isn't it? Right. We're not going to bother tidying that end up, are we? Yes, we are. Go on. We're going to tidy that end up and all. Just so we can. We're still recording? Why? Aye. Right, we're close enough for what we need, because we're going to come back and we'll finish this off. Take the edge off there. We're going to finish this off in a minute when we get the length correct. Take the burrs off. Now, next thing I want to do, set of dividers, set it for somewhere near the middle. Somewhere like that. Then all we're going to do is put a mark on there. We'll see what mark. I'm going to put another mark on that end. That gives us a gap in the middle. We can, if we want, increase the size of the dividers. We're not trying to find the, well, we are trying to find the middle in a way. One line on there. There. Now what we've got there is a load of lines. What we've got there is 4 lines, and the middle, the centre of that rod is right in the middle of that, those 2 narrow lines. It gives us somewhere to aim for in this respect, because this is the next little job. I'm going to get this ready to drill a hole through it. And to start the drill off, I'm going to get the file with the edge, the cutting edge, and I'm just going to put a little flat in there. There you go. All we need. That's open centre poppet, but it's also so the drill does not start running off the edge of the radiuses. Centre pop, hammer. Somewhere in there. Little centre pop. I'm going to take it out and put it on the back of the vise so it's more supported. Okay. We're going to set this up now in my little drill here. In my vise. I'm going to drill through. I'm going to spot that with a little 3mm drill just to increase that and get a full diameter on it. And then we're going to go through with a 4.9mm drill, which is clearance for 3/16, straight through the middle. Then we will shorten this to length. I'm going to try and get this so that it's right. $3mm just to spot it. Swap my plugs. What we've got for speed. Good enough. I've got a bit of squirt. Give it a bit of squirt, eh? Okay. Now we'll change to a 4.9. And we'll drop the speed. One little hit. Sometimes you've got to change all the belts around. Like swap them, physically swap them positions. Because it's no good just belting on drilling, is it? All you're going to do is overheat your drills and end up having to sharpen them more often. That's better. Now just a little drill, and if you put too much downward pressure the table does dip. So we're just going to go nice and easy through the middle. What you do is take your time, keep checking. If it's wrong, don't be frightened to move things. No point keep doing it if it's wrong, is it? Sign of insanity, that, you know. Keep doing the same things over and over again, expect different result. All I'm doing here is just putting the weight of my hand on the handle. I'm not forcing it. Just letting the drill go through at its own pace. And find your drills last longer that way. And I have actually pushed this at one point with a different job, and you end up with a hole that runs offline because the table bends. Now we're coming through the bottom now. There we go. Right, now let's get this deburred. What do we do with this? Now for the test, does it fit? There you go. Nicely, doesn't it? And that'll go on there, like that. We just need to shorten that to length, tidy it up. So, I'll leave that in there. What we're going to do now, we're going to pop that into there. We're using that just to make sure we're keeping that reasonably well centered, because there is not a lot of play in there for that little end of that cable. And we're going to mark the back with what dividers, and then we're going to cut the length and tidy it up. This is the lazy way to do it, isn't it? Other way would be to measure that. Pop that in there. There we go. So we've got a set of marks on there. I'm going to chop that now with the grinder. And I'll bring you back when I get it cut off and we're busy filing it up. Back in a minute. Cut to length. All we're going to do, that's okay. Now what we're going to do is just dress the ends up. So, back to our bench. Get it sorted out. Because you want it looking tidy, don't you? Again, filing at 90 degrees, because you can see all the high spots. See, I'm not even touching around that back edge, I'm only cutting in the middle and the side. Don't want to be taking too much off a door. Okay, next, opposite end. Then we need to get some 3/16 BSF nuts. I'm just holding this up to the light so I can see through it. Got a high spot on that end. Put that in there. High spots on this end. Again, just popping it up to the light. There we go, that'll do. All I need to do now is take off or chamfer the ends. That'll do. Okay. Back up the bench. Right. There's our little toggle that we made. Fits in there beautifully. It's just a fraction too long, but that's fine. You want it, so you want it, if you move it side to side, that it's not going to snag on anything. Okay, next thing we need, 2 3/16 BSF nuts for there. And in the meantime, we'll pop that back in our tube. Pop that in there. That's going to go all back in my bag. Right, so let's get back up there, fit our internals and our bits and bobs. Well, I'm saying we can get back up there. I need 2 nuts. Anyway, let's get back up there, fit our internals, get our cable put on. Jobs are good. Back in a minute. We're back up here. We're busy getting set up. We're going to put in our internals for the draft control mechanism, which is the height and the draft control side of life. Today's Monday. A week ago we were putting in the rock shaft and the selector cover, and it was wall to wall blue sky. It was cool, but it was a nice day. Today it's crap. And today, I think Tuesday, we came up and we put the quadrant on, didn't we, last week, which was our last video. Again, wall to wall, blue skies, lovely day, cool. But today is the first reasonable day we've had since then. It's rained, and I mean rained, ever since. It's drizzling now. Wasn't supposed to drizzle this afternoon. It was supposed to be dry, overcast but dry. Northeast UK. Nobody can ever get the weather forecast right. Deb gets it more right than the Weather Forecast Bureau, because she looks at the window and goes, it's raining. They don't even do that. Right, let's have a look. Before we have a look at this, do you know when you just get an inkling something's not right? Well, I was sitting at home the other day after I put the quadrant on, and I'm thinking to myself, I didn't check to see if the brass fitting had gone into the bypass port on the valve chest. I had manoeuvred it, I had screwed it in, but I didn't actually get eyes on to see if it was in. So out comes the endoscope, because I've got a little endoscope. Out comes the endoscope, and we go in through the back and the front. I'll stick the video footage up here for you while I'm talking to you. It's in now, but it wasn't in when I looked through the hole, right? It was sitting on the edge of the hole towards the back of the valve chest. So what I had to do, I had to get in there with my little red screwdriver, because it was the only one big enough that could get into there. That one's too big. Push it forward a touch and use the screw to push it into home, into location. As you can see by the endoscope photographs, it's in now, it's secure. That would have been a bugger, wouldn't it, eh? Fire the tractor up assuming that was in, to find that the clutch stop brake overheats and everything else is running dry. The gearbox and that's all running dry other than splash lubricated, which is not good when you spent a lot of money putting things right, is it? Just shows you. Check. Double check. And then before you put other bits on, check it again to make sure. Okay? Right. Let's have a look at what bits, see what we're going to do with these. So we've got here, this is what internals for our draft control system. We've got our height control here, draft control here, a little cam that operates our draft control via the cable, and we've got a little bit that we made that sits in there. Our cable is on our shelves over there. We'll get that in a minute, and we'll get this put together. Little important point with this roller at the top, make sure your roller is free and rotates. When I took this to bits, mine didn't. Mine was seized solid. I had to clean it out, lube it, wash it, get it freed up in order to work. Right, so let's get the tractor set up. Let's get our bits sorted out. See if we can get them put in, eh? So we've got to push it a bit into the light. So hopefully we can, sorry about the echo there, but the noise is echoing around in here. So, first things first. Now, if you go to Shane's video, have a look at Shane's video. He comes up with a really good method of putting this lot together. And as you can see, I've got a camera in the way as well. Worst thing with GoPros, you've got to have them really close to work, haven't you? So, we're going to put this in with the bolt in and the draft control in with the pin at the bottom. Stop it going through. Ah, wait a minute. One other little thing I want to do just before we get carried away. I want to put a cloth into the bottom of there, so if anything drops, it cannot get through into the axle. It'll drop into the cloth. So here we are. Bracket, push rod, big bolt. And we will have 1/2-inch socket ready for the bolt. Now we'll try and keep this is going to be good, isn't it? Oh, see, there you go, push rod dropped out. Now that would be a bugger for getting down into the sump, wouldn't it? Put that in the right way again. But I'm going to have to move you guys till I get this in. So we've got that in. We've got our push rod there. I've got a feeling I'm going to have to bring you out of there again. Let's see if we can move you backwards a bit. Just to get some space. Right. What I want to do, I want to lift that up to there, your finger on it, loosen that, and rotate it that's better. Right. One thing you need to do, pull your selector lever to the back so that this unit in the connecting rod underneath drops. That allows you to twist the unit. Now, pop a spring in. Get your height control. Pop that in. Turn it back up a touch. Now we'll have to compress that spring to get it underneath the cam. And try not to drop the draft control arm at the same time. Sorry, I'm bumping you, aren't I? There we go. There we go. a little touch there. Now, bring the draft control up, get our activator. There's a hole in the bail arm that fits into. I think, let's have a look. Pop that under there. See if we can get in with this. This doesn't work very well if you've got big fat hands and two cameras in the way. Does it? Right, so you can get a sneaker socket in there. Okay. Sorry. We'll leave that screwdriver in there for a minute. Now, the next thing is the spring. I need to go and see if I've got a pair of point nose pliers. Okay. Pointy nose pliers. Now, I'm going to have to move you for this one because I need to get in and put this in, and I can't get past that. So, let's see if we can. It's going to be the hardest part of the whole job, isn't it? 10-minute job. That's it, it's in. Right, now. Oh dear, God, Bennett. Right, eventually, springs in, all the internals are in. What we're going to do now, we'll nip up them two nuts. Verify that everything still moves. Right. And now we'll get our cable. So we'll get our draft control cable. I'll take our grease nipple out of its packet. pop our grease nipple in there for the time being so we don't lose it. Take a little nut off the end of there. Okay, what we're going to do, a little bit of grease into that hole. I'll put it on the O-ring, it's easier. And then we'll insert that through a hole into there. Pop this all the way out. Need one little end on that we made. We need one nylock nut on. I'm trying to keep the noise down a little bit because it just echoes. I didn't realise it echoed so much. It just bounces back off everything that's metal in here. Okay, let's now have we need a broad spanner because this is BSF, so it's not an EF spanner. What's that? 8mm, that one. That was 9. I thought this was going to be a 3/8 EF, but it isn't. And they're funny, the ring end fits, the open end doesn't. So this is 3/16 BSF. We'll screw it on to the end of the thread. Shane had 2 lock nuts on his. There we go. But I was having great difficulty finding 3/16 BSF plain nuts. I can find quarter, plenty of quarters, but no 3/16s. Right. Let's have a little look in here now. Okay, happy with that. I'm not going to set the cam today. I'll set that when I come to do my group 3s because of the weather. I don't want to, I know it sounds daft, but I don't really want to get this wet. Right, also, I'm not going to put this end in and I'm not going to tie this down because I want to take this off when we're running this to see that we've got oil flow into the back of here. I'm going to bring the endoscope up and we'll take one of the plates off the gearbox and we'll go inside and make sure the oil is hitting the clutch, brake, stop mechanism inside there. Right, let's get this wrapped up. Get it pushed back inside and the dry out the way. We'll get the cover put back on here. Job's good for the day anyway. Right guys, we finally got the internals in. That spring was the bloody worst thing of all because I noticed my spring is 180 degrees Shane's was slightly less. I had to enter it and then bend it back, if you like, with the pliers and get it in. It's in now. So we'll set the cam, because you've got to lift the arms up, lock them in position. We'll set the cam the day we'll come back up to do the three, what do you call these? The adjustments. The 3 adjustments. Yes, group 3 adjustments. Right. And before we can do that, this oil pipe needs to go onto the 3-way valve, doesn't it? So we've got that to put on. I still need to order a reamer for that PTO lever yet. Haven't done that yet, have I? I'm trying in my head to go through what we need to do. I want the cover off the gear. The plate, there's a little plate at the front where the high-low shift is, or the range selector shift should have been on a 12-speed box, but it isn't. There's just a blank plate. I want that off. I'm going to go in there with an endoscope, have a look at the clutch stop brake to make sure the oil is getting that far through. When we fire it up, we'll see oil coming out of the valve chest at various points, and we should be looking for. That's it for the day. As I say, it's an absolutely grotty, horrible day out there. It's starting to rain heavier. I wanted to get that put back inside before it got wet. I don't like putting stuff away damp. Just it doesn't do it any good at all, especially when you shut the doors and there's no air to get it dried off. Right, guys, thanks very much for visiting. As always, we do really appreciate your time when you come visiting us, messing about in my garage, even if we are getting wet. However, that's it for today. Next time I'll be doing my group 3 adjustments. We'll put my little bits and pieces on. Right, thanks very much, guys. Remember, don't overthink it. It's only nuts and bolts. Catch us in the next one. Looking at the weather forecast, might be about a week away before we're getting this group 3 adjustments done. But the next sunny, dry day, we will get them done. Catch us later. Ta-da now.